What's good, guys? My name's Guy Ghastly, and welcome to my intro to motion graphics in After Effects, Adobe After Effects, that is, and a basic overall of the program in general. Essentially, my plan here is to teach you the basics of motion so you can go in and start experimenting and making things yourself, such as title sequences, or just moving in your different kind of layouts, and just making things a little more interesting in general. I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and I just thought, hey, a tutorial sounds like a good idea. But I'm finding it really difficult. This is like my 5th time recording it, and every time I record it, it comes out to be like 15 to 40 minutes, and I've been scrapping them all, so I've been spending a lot of time on this, so you better goddamn appreciate it, okay? So before we get started, before we do anything, I know that you've been editing Adobe Premiere, or maybe Sony Vegas, and you have had it crash, and then you lose all of your footage, all of your hard progress, because you forgot to do something as simple as 2 buttons like Control, Save, right? Well, introducing something called autosave. Go to edit up here, go to preferences, and then go to autosave. Fantastic. Now you can change it to whatever you want. I have it to 15 minutes. Maybe you want it to be 5 minutes. Maybe you don't trust yourself and you want it to be every 2 minutes. Anything you like. After Effects can sometimes be very CPU intensive, and sometimes your computer can't handle it. It could be the simplest of things, and it'll just crash for no reason. It'll try to recover it, it'll try to autosave it, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I recommend you do that. This can also be done in Adobe Premiere. It's the same way, it's edit, preferences, autosave. So do that now, and if that is the only thing you learn from this, then leave a like, because that is, I'm pretty sure that's gonna save your life. It might be a turn on by default, not sure, but just in case, go ahead and do that. Now, like I said, this is gonna be the building blocks, so let's just get into it really quick. Let's talk about the layout. Okay, so you have your little project, your library here, your project library. You have your composition window, your preview window. You have your timeline, and then you also have maybe effects and presets. You have your RAM preview stuff, your preview, like you want to play or rewind it, whatever. You have your align. I mean, if you don't have any of this stuff, so if I got rid of my effects and presets, and I was like, oh man, oh by the way, here's the characters. When you do text, there's all that cool stuff. And then if you don't have these things, though, you can go to Window, and everything's in here. So Window, okay, let me do this. Okay, Window, and then effects and presets. Okay, let's get into it. Let me just show you what we're gonna be working on here before we get too far. So look at this, check this out. All right, left to right, moving nice and dynamic. Maybe some pop in motion, some spinning. Look at this guy, he's freaking out. Let's go to rotation and motion. You're gonna combine some of these. Obviously, these are kind of rough, but you get the idea. You can combine all of these elements together, and hopefully we make something like this. Look at that. Not too bad, not too shabby for how long it takes to do something like that. And again, you can play this to anything, logos, text, I don't know, other videos, whatever you want. So let's start by showing you that how to make a composition. So the way you make a composition is, well, actually, I guess I should start with importing. So importing is by pressing, you can double click inside this window, or you can do Control I, or you can do File Import. There is literally like 10 ways to do anything in this program. So no way is wrong. Everyone has their own way of doing things, and it's something that you're just gonna kind of adapt to. But I will mention that there's so many not keyframes, there are keyframes, we'll talk about it later, but there's so many key commands and shortcuts that I recommend you learn, because it is super awesome to have that stuff. So go ahead and double click on there. We'll say we want to import this, whatever, and then we're gonna make a new composition. So right click in here and go to new composition, name it to whatever you want, so tutorial, and then you can preset whatever, you can do whatever you want with this. 1920 by 1080 is what I have. Square pixels fine, frame rate 30, and here is your duration. So this will be how long your little timeline is. So it goes hours, minutes, seconds, and then milliseconds. I leave it at 12 seconds for intros, usually 12 seconds, usually fine. You don't want your intros to be too long, unless they're like super interesting. I honestly, I've actually been to people's videos where their intros are just way too long, like 30 seconds, and I have to skip. I skip through it. I find myself skipping through it, like without even thinking about it. Don't worry about background color. Doesn't really matter. It's gonna be transparent. Anyways, so before we do anything, I actually like to. You can keep it transparent, but I actually like to add a solid. So what you do is right click, you go to new, you go to solid, and name it background, for instance, whatever you want to name it, background, BG 920 by 1080. You can do 1280 by 720. I'm noticing that a lot of people have it that way. I just keep it 1920 by 1080, and then I rescale it in Adobe Premiere to by like 67 or something like that, put it to like 67. It's usually pretty good. And then the color, you can change the color whatever you like. I went with a nice, I don't know what this is, like a mustard color? Like a spicy mustard color? Yeah, kind of what it is. Alright, now say you want to take your picture, whatever, you go ahead and drag it and drop it in. Drag and drop, and you can see the little black line, that's where it's going to be. Bam, there you go. Now, he's looking a little pale, so what I like to do is go into here. You can go to your effect control, so click on one of these. Obviously, you don't have one of these open, but I'm just going to Control C and then paste that onto him. When you have an effect on, you can go ahead and press the little effects button, so he's looking pale. Now he's looking vibrant and colorful and beautiful. And if you want to get this effect, you can go to Curves. I hope I don't go too fast. If you guys want, I mean, obviously it's a video, you can pause it and replay it. But there's also going to be timestamps in the description, just in case. So what you can do is you can go into Curves over here, type in Curves, go ahead and drag and drop. Now if you noticed, it will just kind of, it'll show in the box what it's applying to. So that's applying to that, it's applying to that, boom. We don't want that right now because I already have it on there. So let's start off with keyframes. Keyframes are the building blocks of Adobe After Effects. Now this is what's going to make it so things can move. Chances are, if you've used Adobe Premiere or even Sony Vegas or any editing program at all, you'll know what keyframes are. Even when you fade things in and out or crossfade, you're essentially keyframing. It just kind of does it for you. And I wouldn't recommend crossfading in this because it's freaking annoying. So just do it in Premiere. All right, here you go. So you have this. So let's start with pressing P. So P is going to bring up your position. That's the key. That's what it is. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just kind of twirl it down. Look at that effect, transform, position. Cool. So press P. I press P. Let's move forward a little bit. Let's put a keyframe. You put a little stopwatch here. It's going to put a keyframe. Let's go forward a little bit and let's just move him. Right there, bam. So now what we'd have here is we have a little animation. Go ahead and press spacebar to preview. And he's moving, right? That looks kind of sluggish, but he's moving. So there you go, basic motion. We're done here. No, we're not. Okay, so it looks kind of cool, but let's go ahead and highlight these keyframes, and you can right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease. Now, notice the shortcut here, F9. Again, shortcuts are super important. You want to get to know these shortcuts because it'll increase your workflow and your progress by like a million. So have easy ease, press that, and now when you replay it, it's gonna move, but it's gonna look a little smoother. It's going to ease it, obviously. I wonder why they call it that. That's probably why. So that's cool, but what if you want it to be a little more dynamic? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna highlight them, and then we're gonna go to the graph editor. And if you do not have this, go ahead and click that graph editor. It might be something else. Go ahead and click down here, go to speed graph, and you want to click that speed graph on as well as maybe this eye, show animated properties. There you go. So what this is telling you right now is that it's going to be ease. It's going to go at a pretty constant pace throughout, and that's the idea. But what if you wanted it to be a little more dynamic? So say you wanted to maybe have it snap. So take these little handlebars and you move the handlebars. Okay, look at that. Bam, move the handle. So now what it's saying is that it's gonna go slow, and then it's gonna snap right here and slow down again. Look how cool that looks. Wow, so freaking dope, right? Dope nasty. All right, I don't know what that means. All right, so cool. But what do things do when they move? They have motion blur, right? They don't just kind of go, they actually blur to our eyesight. And I've been seeing a lot of people's intros, and they look fine, like aesthetically and composition wise, they look fine. But if you just click the simple button here, and then with this one up here, you get something called motion blur. Check this out. Check this out. Look at that. Look how much better it made that look by 2 button presses. Super easy. I can't even stress enough how many people don't do this, and it's like so easy to do. So do that. Awesome. And then the other thing, if you don't have right here, when I first started, I didn't know how to get to this part right here where it showed these. This is right here, it's your toggle switches / modes. You might be in this mode here, but just go and click on that. There you go, there you go. And again, remember, you can turn all these on, but for the sake of quality wise, this is not gonna be turned on by default. So it'll be like going, you'll have, why is it not working? You got to make sure you click this up here. Enables motion blur for all layers with the motion blur. Switch, select. Okay. Another thing is if your computer is going kind of sluggish, go ahead and lower this down to about 1/4. All right, that's what you can do there. and that'll lower the quality, obviously, but your computer will run it a lot easier. Another thing, this little quick tip, you can press Alt and zoom in with your scroll wheel. That's kind of helpful to see where things are moving. And then you can go over here, press Fit to 100, and then if you want, you can press Spacebar, and you can move your composition around like that so you can see where things are. Whew. Alright, that was a lot to talk about. Like I said, this is not going to teach you everything you want to know in one sitting. Essentially, After Effects is something that you have to learn with experience, and it takes a lot of wanting to learn and a lot of curiosity to grasp everything. So say we want to, how about we want to rotate this? So this is kind of a thing. Let's show you some rotation. Alright, so let's move it. By the way, if you want, press Shift and move things around, and it'll put it on like a straight line. So you can get those straight movements if you like, up and down, and well, it was supposed to work, yeah, up and down, bam. Alright, we'll say we want it to rotate. So when you first bring in a thing, whatever, it's gonna put your anchor point, which is this little thing here, if you can see it, right in the middle. So when you rotate, it's gonna move it in the middle. Cool, right? Sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. So if you don't want that, you can go ahead and press Y is the command, or it's up here, you can click it here, it's called the pan behind tool. You can take that anchor point, bring it down to the bottom, and you can rotate it. Oh yeah, yeah, cool, right? So it's like a little puppet show, kind of. I think it's like a puppet show, right? So what you want to do is go forward a little bit, maybe put your keyframe there, press your stopwatch, fantastic, move forward a little bit, I don't even know, like maybe that way. And you can put it to 360, for instance, 360. Yeah, okay, that's not what I wanted. Press Control Z. You're gonna be pressing Control Z a lot. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Control Z is your friend. So, put it forward, but say you wanted to give it some weight. So let's put it forward a little bit, like it bobs forward, and then we'll go forward a little bit more, and then we'll bring it back to that 1, which means it went one time around, and there you go. Look at that. It does it. But now you want to easy ease again, so press F9 or right click and easy ease, what have you. Wow, that's so cool. So now it's got a little bit of movement to it. And as you get better at keyframes and placing these, you can do some really dynamic things that make it look like it's like bouncing, or there's a lot of weight behind it, like the the gravity of it is affecting its movement. And that's how you make motion graphics a little more believable. I will show you some examples of that later. And yeah, it's really helpful stuff. Let me show you some differences in this stuff. So popping is one of them. So if you want to pop stuff, you press, you go ahead, let me just show you, it's S. S is scale. Okay, so you have, the main ones are position, you have rotate, and you have scale. And those are the kind of the ones that we're going to be talking about today. I could go into 3D motion. Here's some 3D motion. And you can make it go against the screen, and you can move, there's a camera involved, and all this other stuff. I won't go into that too much today. If you guys want that, cool, I might do it, but no promises. But yeah, so here's some snapping examples here. You can see the scale, how it goes from 0 over here to about, you know, whatever it is, 669. Cool, 69. All right, so I'm so mature. Okay, so it's gonna hit like that. Cool, has the motion, blur, blah blah blah. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about here? Okay, so yeah, so let's go into this speed graph though and show you the different speed things. So this one is snapping, for instance. This one is easing in and then going out. And this one is, again, easing out. So snapping and then easing out. And if you wanted to do any of that stuff, you just go into here, for instance, if you wanted this to snap in, right? See how it's like that? Say we want to do that, and then you want to do that. Excuse me, and you can kind of zoom in here. And say you wanted to, God, I hate this thing. This is why I have this up here, because I hate working with these. I highly suggest that you check out Matt's Motion V2 plugin. It's at $30 on his website on Mount Mograph. I highly recommend it if you are getting into this kind of stuff, because you do not have to deal with this, because sometimes you need the freaking hand-eye coordination of a flame sword juggler to hit these like little things right here. Look, it's pissing me off just using it. That is not what we want in the slightest, but you get the idea. It's whatever. It's not cool. If you wanted to do some basic motions, for instance, if we were to go into here and say I was to go out of this and say I was to go like, all right, look what I want to do. Okay, we're gonna okay, press V to go back to your regular tool. Actually, make sure that your anchor point is put back in the middle. If you want to do that, press V to go back to your regular arrow so you can move it around. So let's put it there. Say you want to like move it off screen. So we move it off screen, position, bam, move it forward, shift, right? Now it's gonna move forward, great. Easy ease it again, so right click, there you go, easy ease. And then, so let me just show you how freaking awesome this thing is. So say you have, right here, this little plugin here is amazing. This is why I recommend it. It's like 30 bucks. It's definitely worth it if this is something that you want to keep doing. And you can just affect it by using these. You don't have to mess with the anchor points or the handlebars at all, and you can do whatever you goddamn please. Man, After Effects is just full of stuff. Like I said, it's something that you're going to have to really play around with and really devote a lot of time to, but it's super worth it. So I highly recommend you do that. And if you've learned anything during this, again, go ahead and leave a like. Even if it's only how to autosave, I feel like that's probably the most important thing here. Probably. So let's see. So again, and you can combine all this stuff. I'm not going to go into exactly how to do all this stuff. I want to keep this relatively short, but if you look at, for instance, this right here, you can press U and you can see all these keyframes are working together to make something that's super simple, such as this. Look at that. Look at that. So cool. So nice. All right, so you got it coming in. So what you have is you have scaling, you have rotating, then you have position, all mixed into one to do this. And then I actually have an expression here, which is, actually, I'll just freaking show you guys, whatever. Let me just show you guys. I don't want to, but I think it'd help. I think it'd be nice for you guys to know how to do this stuff. So let me just show you how I, for instance, did that. Let's go into scale. Let's put it to 0, for instance. Let's press Ctrl Z, 0. And let's move it forward. And let's move it to like 100 and, let's move it to like 100. Like a little further up. We want it to be like around there. So now if we watch that, it's kind of, yeah, it takes a little while. Cool, yeah, okay. So now he's scaling, right? And that's fine. Let's do position. Let's just add a keyframe for all this stuff. Actually, so let's just do that. And let's add scale, rotation, I mean. And then what you can do is you can just press U, and U will bring up all your keyframes, so that's a little handy thing to know. Rotation, okay. So say we want it to rotate, like, you know, about 360 degrees, whatever. Cool, and let's actually move the anchor point down. I actually like the anchor point, whoops. Let's move that anchor point really quick. Because I like the anchor point. I personally like the anchor point down below here. That's not what I want. Position, you're kind of pissing me off. All right, rotation, anchor point, bam, there we go. Move the anchor point before you move rotation. And so now it's actually going to scale from there as well. And yeah, it's very hard for me to do something and at the same time talk about it. It's very difficult. So I apologize if I'm kind of like going into myself and doing it. I don't really talk while I do this stuff. It's a one-man kind of thing. You don't talk to people while you do this kind of stuff. It's a lonely gig, okay? All right, it's lonely, sad, depressing. My only friends are Netflix and Crunchyroll. All right. So so we got that. Great. Now let's also do position. All right, so position. Let's say we wanted to start, press V to move it right here. Let's actually not press, let's get rid of that right now. Let's start it off right in the middle, maybe like right here. Bam, okay. And now it's gonna move up here, and then we can move it right here. All right, and then say we wanted to move it like over here, and then move it right here, and then say we want it to say we want to scale again. Let's say we want to scale up a little bit, so we'll scale up again to like right here, and then it'll just pop. Basically, that'll open a little pop thing, and then we want to copy this one again. So we'll Control C, do that. Let's actually copy. Let's copy this keyframe here again, because we want it to sit there for a moment. I think would be kind of cool. So it goes, and then okay. It's gonna be rough, okay? I'm not spending amazing amounts of time on it, but you get the idea. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to tell you. And I apologize. You can skip through this if you want. Don't really care. Okay. Yeah, this is not up to my standards. This is kind of winging it. But you get the idea. You get the idea. Basically, you just mess around with these. You make some cool looking stuff. And no one's going to be worse for it. But obviously, so these are regular keyframes. Again, do not forget that what you want to do to make this look good is F9, all of this. And say I just wanted to snap all of it. Alright, let's just, I don't know. So what you'll probably do is you'll probably do this all one at a time. And the way you'll do it is you would just go in like, okay, I want these ones, and then you snap it. And then, okay, or not. You want to highlight it by itself, and then go into it, or not. Wow, maybe yours will be fine. I don't know. But I use this. It's a little easier. It's a lot easier. Now they're all snapping, which is what I want. So then we'll actually click this, and then we'll just kind of preview this and see how it looks really quick. It's gonna do some cool. I mean, the movement is actually not that bad. Once you have that motion blur in there and that snapping, it looks so much more dynamic. That's just kind of, that's the idea. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys, is that with this knowledge, you guys can do anything. You know, the world is your oyster, okay, as they say. So take advantage of it. And then over here, another thing I guess I can actually add is that I have an expression, which I'm just gonna copy here because I don't feel like doing it. And you're gonna go over here and you're gonna go to, let's see, go to position. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna press Alt and click the position here and copy that down. It's wiggle 250, that's fine. And now when you play this again, it's going to have a little bit of random movement on the X and, not X, Y? I don't know, I don't remember, but it has random movement left and right. Gives it a little bit more. I've seen people use this before in their effects, but not having that motion blur activated kind of takes away from it. So definitely have motion blur activated, and you'll have a happy day. Now, once you get into this stuff more, again, I will do maybe a 3D if people are interested. I probably will. The problem with this tutorial here is that it's not directed at, it's not focused enough to be very concise, because there are no rules to motion. You can literally make it move however the hell you want, and as long as you add motion blur and some dynamics in the speed graph over here, then you're gonna have a good time. It's gonna look good. So don't stress about it too much. You guys are gonna make it look fine. I'm sure of it. Once you get into it more, you can start doing stuff like this here. And don't be like me, actually, and don't make sure you label your stuff. You can just go ahead and click here and press enter and name it whenever you want. It's super easy. I just was being lazy. Like I said, I've recorded this like 6 times, so I don't even care right now. Like, this is just, I care, obviously, I want to teach you guys, but this is just a basics tutorial. So once you get into it more, like I said, you can be able to do stuff like this, and just let it load a little bit here. But you'll be able to see that it kind of swings in, it's got some motion to it, that bounces, you see what I mean? It swings, it's got motion. It's dynamic. It actually looks like there's gravity involved with the motion graphics, and the better you get, you can start doing stuff like this, and you can apply it to literally anything. The After Effects is your oyster. What does that mean? The world is your oyster. Oysters are small. How does that even make sense? Who thought of that? All right. So if you guys have learned anything from this tutorial, even if it's the smallest thing, go ahead and leave a like. I will try to make timestamps that make sense. I might do a little bit of editing to this, probably not. But if you guys enjoyed watching this, go ahead and leave a like down below. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer all of them, and if I can't, maybe someone else can answer them for you. But hopefully I will try to hit every single one of them. If you have any questions regarding this stuff, go ahead and feel free to message me. I do not mind talking to people. Hit me up on Twitter. I give people help all the time. One more thing, actually, I guess I'll show you. Okay. So say you want to render this out. Control M is the default. Or how you do it, you can go to File, Export, Add to Render Queue, and then you can go to your output module. Probably want to do H.264. It's kind of the ideal thing to do, unless you're doing like a transition and you want it to show up behind it. Do not do Windows Media ever. Do QuickTime, and then you can do RGB plus alpha. That means anything that's black, it doesn't have a layer, will be the alpha layer, so that you can put anything behind it. So that's how I did my transition on my intro, and there you go. So H.264 is usually what you want. Make sure if you have audio, you put audio down there. Okay. And yeah, and then what am I doing? Go to render queue, and then you want to set your location, of course. Blah blah blah. What is there? Yeah. Then you want to do that kind of stuff, and then yeah, render settings are usually pretty fine. Yeah, these are pretty good. So there you go. 25 minutes. Not bad. It's a bit disorganized, I guess you'd say. I apologize. There just really wasn't a set thing for this. It's super hard to tell you guys exactly what to do, because motion, like I said, is just something that you mess around with, and it takes a little bit of refining, but you got it. I have faith in you. So like I said, go ahead and leave a like if you learned anything. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Good Goodguys, and that's GG, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Bye. So say you want to put some music into your composition, right? So what you want to do is you want to put it in there, you want to double click it, you want to press 0 to play it. May want to lower the volume a little bit, lower it down to like -20. Now you got some music going, it sounds pretty good, right? But say you want to cut it, you want to cut this music at a certain part, so maybe you want to cut it near the drop, you know? Just wait for it, yeah. Get in there, it's getting hype everyone. Alright, we're almost there. Oh god, it's going to drop right now. And you press spacebar. And then you press Alt, and you press the bracket key to cut it. And then what you can do is you can come back down here, have it highlighted, obviously, and then what you can do is you can just press the bracket key and it will drag it there. So now when you press 0, you have it. Right? Am I right? Yeah. You can exit out of it by pressing that. And yeah, so. And that'll just play your audio. Yeah, I'm dancing, sorry. Okay, so you get the idea. It's pretty easy.